So Dortha and I are no longer friends. I just found out that she does not like gravy. And if she does not like gravy, she cannot enjoy Canada's favorite food, poutine. A
Mhm.
conversation for another day. Today,
Creative
it's
differences aside.
creative. I don't care how talented she is. How can you not like poutine? It's just
I've never had poutine, so I can't complain about that. I
unacceptable.
just can't have poutine because I'm not a gravy fan. Again, we'll put a pin in this and we'll circle back.
Judgment is brewing. Let's just say that.
That's fair.
So, the future, today we're speaking about the visibility paradox, why more content isn't necessarily creating more influence. This is not for content creators, these are for thought leaders who create content. So, the future doesn't belong to the loudest voices anymore, it belongs to the clearest perspective. After years of chasing algorithm, audiences are becoming selective. AI has made more information than ever before, more abundant, but what has become scarce is original thinking, wisdom, and trust. Executive visibility is shifting from content creation to thought creation. Leaders are focusing on fewer, higher quality appearances, clearer positioning, and consistent ideas other than constant posting. Why is this information so timely, Dortha?
Well, I think a lot of professionals are in the kind of hamster wheel of feeling like visibility means showing up and posting every day, making sure that you're getting more followers, trying to chase that viral effect, trying to make sure you're within the parameters of the algorithm and constantly like adapting and being flexible and weaving. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be flexible, flexibility is great. And the other side of this is, producing endless content. And the thing that we're seeing is that there are leaders in the industry who are doing the almost exact opposite, and they're becoming compelling. What do you want to call it?
Thought
Like
leaders,
thought
thought
mhm.
leaders, really.
Exactly. Yes, yes, and it's going with the whole. I don't know, like, sustainable visibility isn't about like exhausting ourselves and running down the next latest trend. It's
Mhm.
really about becoming known for something that genuinely changes the way people think. So, right to that point of thought leadership.
Yeah. Most professionals still believe visibility means posting every day, growing followers, going viral, producing endless content.
Mm,
Yet, the leaders attracting the biggest opportunities are doing the opposite. So, it's really more about originality still, innovation still. Those matter. Information, we've never had more access to information than by the
everywhere.
minute than ever before. And what I do enjoy about AI is that it does, although questionably attained, it has codified our entire human history. But what I do like is that it does bring more obscure, or perhaps, if when you're prompting properly, remember AI is GIGO, right? I go back to my accounting days, garbage in, garbage out. When
Hmm.
you're prompting properly and asking for citations and asking specifically for a more balanced perspective, or wanting to know the sources, AI is fabulous. Like, I am always astonished at how balanced and how robust the research for a perspective or an argument can be using AI. And it doesn't
Hmm.
seem to matter which model. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree first of all, and I think it's kind of getting into that era of like, okay, great, everyone's content is starting to sound the same. right? And that's what we're talking about here with
Because the same person, well, the same it is
the
writing
same
it.
the same
This is
element is
why
behind all of it.
everyone's sounding the same. Thank you
Yeah.
for mentioning that. I hadn't
Mhm.
thought about it that way.
Mhm. And I think, I mean, I'm not trying to like demonize AI at all. It is what it is. I use it all the time. I mean, Carolina and I, we challenge each other and like always try to, keep our game up because this is very important to us and we want to stay on the forefront of what's happening in the world. And it's incredibly synthesizing things that have already been said. So it gets really good at, okay, this is great, and it's not living your experiences, so it's not sure what you're having in your client conversations. It doesn't know how I'm hiking on a particular trail or coaching a class at the gym, sitting with someone doing some pros and cons lists about going through a difficult decision, or tweaking some experiment in my garden, right? Like those are all lived experiences that we can bring our own fresh perspective and like how that thought leadership starts to evolve and show up in our content. So yeah, and I totally agree, what we put in, what we get out.
And you
Absolutely.
got to remember, to some degree, AI is book smarts. And I
Mm,
love books and I love, knowledge and
yep.
information. But, there's all these quotes that you hear. I love LinkedIn, and no, I'm not a paid ambassador, but I just like it. I think it's smart.
Yeah.
And you see all of these quotes that say, you can learn to swim from a book, right? Like you got to get in the pool,
Yep.
and you can learn to sail, from the dock, right? Like you actually have to get out there. And it's almost the same. I go back to, again, my accounting days, and I don't know why I'm channeling accounting today. Maybe because I gotta do my bookkeeping. Anyways, know that when you study accounting, anybody out there that has had the joy of studying accounting, they used to like be fixated on widgets, right? And you buy 300 widgets and you sell 200 widgets, and how many widgets do you have? And it's like, okay, enough with the widgets. And when you come out into the real world, it doesn't look anything like it, right? It's like, where are the widgets? Where are the simple math questions? And it's the same with AI now, right?
Yeah.
Is the interpretation that we're missing, is the expertise, and AI cannot give you that.
Hmm.
It cannot
That's right.
give you that. That is something that you learn. You earn your stripes.
Hmm. You put in, yeah, it's your flavor, right? Like it's like you might get the vanilla ice cream, but your take on it is the topping that goes on top of it
That's
to
right. And
your
that's the
whole.
differentiator. We go back
Hmm.
to like, and I love, and it happens that we represent, all of our mentor experts are professional thought leaders, like professional corporations. So they are traditional careers that people think they know, right? Like a lawyer, a real estate lawyer.
Yeah.
People think they know, like at least you understand. You don't have to explain the product.
Yeah.
But what matters, what brings about the differentiator between one real estate lawyer and the next real estate lawyer is their thought leadership.
Hmm.
What are their experiences? What is their niche? What are they known for? Because
Yep.
you, as the public, really could not tell who's a good real estate lawyer or who's a bad one until something goes bad.
That's right.
Right? Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
It's the same with your taxes. When you hire your accountant to do your taxes, do you really know? Unless you have another accountant double check the work, you wouldn't know.
That's
So
right.
when it comes to following, which I really dislike the word, I really don't like the word followers, to be quite honest. I'm
Sounds
much
like
like,
mm-hmm.
LinkedIn uses connections and
Hmm.
Facebook uses friends, but it's still the concept of who's following your brand, right?
Yep.
But it's really, what community are you building,
Yeah.
right? Under your stewardship. Like you, for example, let's take you, gravy
Hmm.
aside.
Gravy aside.
Gravy aside, I'm still processing that. I'm like a little
You have
traumatized, to be
questions.
quite
I
honest.
know.
I have judgment. I'm beyond questions on this one.
Can't drop a gravy bomb like that before a recording.
Seriously. Anyways, you do the somatic healing and you do automation, but very few people combine both. Is
Yep.
that fusion,
Yep.
right? And that's what sets you apart. If you were to compare one automation specialist and chaos specialist, delegation specialist
Mm-hmm.
to the next, well, what sets them apart
Yeah.
is that extra that
Mm-hmm.
resonates with you,
That's right.
right? That their
Yeah.
alignment. If someone doesn't believe in somatic healing, if someone doesn't believe in balance, I'm not sure they're your people.
Probably not.
Just like women, right? Like
Yeah.
if you don't believe in the empowerment of women, as a personal responsibility, not
Mm-hmm.
as a movement, a like a liberation. I think all women are fully liberated. Now you need to do something with it, like out of your own inside out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then anybody that teaches you, anybody that publishes for you, anybody that does anything that we do, what sets us apart, right?
Yeah.
Is it matters, right? This is why more content, because it seems that content is treated, and these are from conversations that I have, is treated almost as a spray and pray. It's like
Yeah.
content.
Yep.
But who is this content for, right? So would
Right.
you say, Dortha, that we're seeing the rise of the intellectual brand?
I mean, I think so. I hope so. Maybe I hope so is more of an accurate answer. And I think it's kind of that, you know, I mean, I personally have been working on something I'm calling a field guide for paying attention. And it's because I think that's becoming one of the very valuable skills that any leader can develop, noticing what other people often overlook. And the thing about what we're talking about here is that the tips expire, right? Something that's a tip right now is not going to be relevant necessarily 3 months, 6 months, 2 years down the road. The ability,
Everything becomes obsolete so
yeah.
fast
Yeah,
now,
yeah, yeah,
right?
exactly, exactly. But the
Yeah.
ability to notice something, notice patterns, notice whatever, and is not something that goes away, right? That can always be tweaked or applied to a situation moving forward. So same thing what we're talking about here with, being visible and remembered and all the things. Like I think it all kind of ties back to what you're saying about intellectual content. I can't remember the exact word you used.
The
Intellectual
intellectual
brands.
brand, or the
Yes.
intellectual influencer, or the
Mhm.
intellectual innovator, for that
Mhm.
matter,
I
right?
like it. Mhm. Rather than
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
It's about what you think, how you interpret. Like there's a word that I
Yeah.
really like, and I can't remember how it entered my, radar, but it became is that of curation.
Yeah.
And I love it when you go to an art gallery or you go to a museum or anything that there's a curator, and is really a storyteller. A
Mhm.
curator is a storyteller that is like your chef menu, offering, right? That
Yeah.
somebody's creating a specific experience for you, and they've done the legwork, they've done the knowledge, they've done the testing, they've done the what works, what doesn't, what's a good trend, what isn't, what worked, what didn't, and they're really bringing their expertise, right? Not just knowledge, not just courses, not just, like you said, tips, but
Yeah.
really is the curation, what makes this special.
And I think that's a really interesting point, and it's something I tie back to an experience we had in October when we did our trip through the Southwest in the United States. We were on an excursion, on a trip, on a whatever you want to call it, and we were on Navajo land, and we were brought into, I believe the proper pronunciation is Hogan. We were brought into one of their dwellings, and we were able to sit with two of the elders, and they talked to us about the process of weaving their tapestries, and talked about how they've passed traditions down from family member to family member, and some of the important pieces of cultural things that they had in their own lives, and like how they brought them with them, and how they've handed them down, and how they are constantly kind of struggling to keep the younger generation engaged with that same thing, because I mean, if you look at the vast wide web, like there's just so much content, so much out there. And here are these people that are trying to keep these traditions and these things in place for future generations to come. And I thought it was very powerful and super, super interesting, because it kind of talks to that point you were just mentioning. And it's that immersion, it's that experience, it's that cultural depth. It's not just oh, hey, like here's this thing, I heard about it once and it sounded cool, so here I'm just gonna like kind of regurgitate it and change a few words. No, it's like lived experience. It's that like real immersion into it's your lifestyle, right? I think that's really that influencer, the intellectual, the lifestyle, all of it coming to kind of a cohesive piece all
Yeah.
together. Mm-hmm.
And it's not just about age. We
Mm-mm.
just had a segment, I don't know when it's airing, but we were speaking about multi-generational and intergenerational when it comes to, because of the housing crisis, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked, because they kept saying, they keep using these words. And I'm like, okay, so what do you mean by it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and this is where you and I are okay. We'll remain friends simply because we dig deeper. That's
Yeah.
just in our DNA, right?
Yep.
So I'm like, well, you keep using this word, but what does it mean, and what does it mean in today's context, right? And one of the things that I really liked about it, and is that because we're in the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area. So and in any major city, the prices of homes are through the roof, and younger kids cannot afford it. So we're seeing
Mm.
a lot of multi-generational living, like either kids staying at home longer,
Yeah.
or parents and children, adult parents
Yeah.
and adult
Yeah.
children buying properties together, and like
Mm.
going almost back, right? Like going
Mhm.
back to like mid-century, last mid-century, where we see multi-generations living together. But the
Yeah.
part that I liked was that intergenerational, where it's not just logistical like now, but is the generations teaching each other,
Mm.
right? And even if we
Yeah.
go back to that mid-century, last century, when we saw a lot of migration, right? Where the young generations, the youngsters, would know the language, right? They would learn
Yeah.
like the Canadian or the American way. We're North American centric, but it's a global message. They would, learn the language and learn the ways, right? Where in the older generation would teach the younger generation the how to and the why to,
Yeah.
right? And it's
Mhm.
that concept that it's not just the elders that have something to teach, right? and
That's right.
and I love to see that now. I think that is one of the great things about the internet and about social media, is that we're learning from each other, right? and
Yeah.
and the new ways are better perhaps for the new reality, but
Yeah.
the old ways have survived trends and the span of time, right?
Mhm.
So is that bringing the trusted curators, right? that
Yeah.
can that can help discern where the value is, just like you said about
Mm.
recognizing trends and such. So about visibility and impact, you speak, and I love that, and I'll turn the mic over to you. um, you speak of the magic thousand. Tell us about that when it comes to building your brand.
So it first came to me many years ago, actually, working with a client, helping him during COVID, helped him get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And it's one of those things that if you hit 1,000 on YouTube, you get that spot of monetization.
Mhm.
And like that's a lot of what people are chasing on the different platforms across the board, right? They're trying to get that spot where they're a trusted brand, or they're recommended by whatever the platform is. So it's kind of always been around, and the concept is basically that you don't need a gigantic audience, you need the right audience,
That's
right?
right.
So I mean, and 1,000 people is kind of where
It's a
they
lot of
say the
people.
sweet. It is a lot of people, but
We
if you
become a little bit jaded where, if a post only reaches like 2,000, it's like, oh, it was a low performing. Like, it's 2,000 people that noticed you in
yeah,
today's world with so many
which is
distractions and
huge.
choices. The fact
Yeah,
that two people looked at you is be grateful
right.
and honor that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially I think to that point, Carolina, is when somebody pulls something out of, if you write a longer-ish post and somebody pulls something out of like the middle of your content, and then they make some kind of a very long comment, but they've actually pulled the concept through and they're saying, hey, this impacted me and it's really resonating. That right there is like more valuable than having any number really of subscribers, because like think about what that is saying is that has resonance with your audience. So you've really impacted somebody on the other side of the screen. And whether you've worked with them or you haven't, it's just kind of one of those things that is like, okay, cool. My content's actually landing. It's actually doing what I'm hoping when I'm over here typing and creating away, what I'm hoping it does. So I think that the shift has gone really from like more followers, creating more content and growing your audience, to more becoming known for something, that whole thought leadership piece, building trust with that audience, and then really developing that clear intellectual position, which we were talking about, having that intellectual brand, and creating influence, not just attention. You're not like, hey, I'm over here, just come notice me. You're actually having that piece that says, this matters, and
Yeah.
here's why. And I think that the AI world, having 1,000 people, is exactly the 10 years ago equivalent of having maybe 100,000 who barely like know who you are, right?
Yeah.
If you have the right 1,000 people that are following you, that are on your email list, wherever they are, they can really be engaged. They can be earning you multi figures a month, right? Like I've heard of people having,
Yeah.
maybe 800 people on their list and having $10,000 months. So it's really not necessarily, oh, I have 1,000 people. It's
Yeah.
are those people engaged, and are they doing the things that are
And
they're
are
in
you
your world?
bringing thought leadership for the conviction and the passion of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It is said that, nothing ever gets done unless there's a maniacal person that won't let go. And if
That's right.
you have a conviction, if you have a belief system, own your category, own your lane, right? Like,
Yeah.
find out anything and everything that has to do with that belief system. And as you said, it's about the content, is about finding the alignment with your audience and finding the audience that is looking for the type of solution that you're bringing. Because for every
Yeah.
problem, there's a million solutions, right? And it's about
Hmm.
finding the solution that works for you, not what's been marketed to you, not what's been sold to you, right?
Hmm.
But it's really about what fits with your personality, what fits with your lifestyle, what is sustainable,
Yeah.
right? Because, if you follow the workout, habits of, I don't know, people that work out 8 hours a day, is it sustainable for you, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be that reality check. And that's where
Hmm.
curation comes in. You ought to find people that speak for people like you,
Yeah.
where you're at now, and they're still helping you, converse that bridge and convert that bridge and have the transformation. But it's really not about selling. And I stay away from that. And it's not that selling is bad. I mean, if you own a business, you ought to sell, right? Like, that's just the premise of it. But the difference is you ought to have sales, not necessarily to sell.
Yeah. That's right.
Because what you attract, you don't pursue. And that's the whole point of finding your people,
Hmm.
finding the people looking for your solutions. Sorry, go ahead, Dortha.
No, I was just going to say, and I think this is really key where clarity comes in, right? Like when you're crystal clear on all the things that you do, the transformation you provide, the work that you do, it all that is like the light that people are like, ooh, like I have to go investigate and see what that's about. Oh, look, they're on the air. I have to go watch that episode, because what you're saying is completely in alignment, and it is totally attracting the right people that want to work with you because you're their person.
That's
Mhm.
right. That's right. So that is lovely. So you know what? Be intentional. So basically, what we're talking about is content has shifted. Be intentional. Be clear and write in a manner that yes, it is AI searchable, because you do want the logarithm Bigfoots to find you and to move you. But I think we're back to organic. I'm
Yeah.
not sure with the quantity of content in machine recognizing machine. Don't forget that
Mhm.
the AI recognizes what's been written by AI and what's not original thought, and
Yeah.
that affects the searchability.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a paradox, right? It's like kind of like a circular thing reference. So thank you, everybody. And, back to our 1 million woman challenge. Remind you, Dortha has her fabulous quiz, which we will put the link below, about how to delegate. What kind of delegator are you?
Mm.
And we are now offering our Party of One from Coping to Choosing book for free. All you got to do is request one. So thank you, everybody. And remember, 20 years from now, which might as well be 200 the way at the rate we're going, or 2 years from now, either way, what ideas do you want people to remember you for? Have a lovely day. Until next time. Thank you, Dortha.
Bye. Thank